Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, January 9th, 2023, and I'm here with my weekly cross-stitching update. Smokey's here too. She's already settled in for her co-hosting position. Yeah, I have a good amount to share this week. This week overall was a great stitching week, so I've been playing Bringo, so every day I'm working on something different, and had great progress most days. Yesterday, I was really busy and my stitching progress was very small, but I did get a little bit done. Yeah, so I guess we'll just jump in. I don't think I have any haul at this point. I did order some fabric for Petal Fairy, but it's not here yet. So yeah, we'll just jump in. I have a wee bit of travel stitching because my kids are back in school today, but last week they were all home. I had a few opportunities to work on my main travel stitching project, like when we were watching shows as a family, maybe once in the car. So I do have a little bit of progress, which is fun. First, I'll show you my temperature pattern, which is temperature Quaker this year, since that's what I usually start with. This is one of my designs you can find in my Etsy shop along with several others. And I'm so excited. I got it started yesterday. So I didn't end up starting it until Sunday morning before we left for church. So I tend to like to stitch on this in the car. Our church is about 20 minutes away, and most of the time my husband drives, so I get to stitch while we drive to and from church. So I got it done before we were home again, which is great. So I'm sure there'll be some days when some of the motifs are, have more stitching than the ones I was doing today. And I only had 3 colors out of the 7 days. And sometimes there might be all 7 are different colors. So it just depends. It may not always be this smooth, but it was this week. So this is my start. This is 25 count Prim vintage cloth. The color is Prim, so it's like a dark beige. I was afraid it might be too dark for some of the colors, but I feel like I like it anyways, and I already cut the fabric, so this is what it's gonna be. So this is gonna be the kind of outline of the January motif. So I started here and I'm working clockwise. I'll come up here and then do the center bits. The pattern has symbols to indicate where each day goes. So within the January block, there's symbols 1 through 9, and then it starts into the alphabet, A through whatever it is. I don't even know. And it's all in order, so it's easy for your brain to know which one's next. And then all these little scattered motifs is December. So once we finished all the big ones, then have easy counting to be able to fill in all the December ones. So like this is December 1st, December 2nd, things like that. So it's exciting. And I was asked about my thread card. This is something I learned a tip a couple years ago by somebody. If you go into Adobe Reader, there's a feature where you can take a snapshot. And for my version of Adobe Reader, it was in, I think, Edit and then More, and then take a snapshot. And then you can highlight like a box around the area you want to highlight. I like to include some of the color, the DMC color, and then part of the actual temperatures. So I have everything I need and in my box, and then it kind of copies it basically. Then you go to the print screen and it'll print the selection that you just copied. So then you can print it nice and big, change the scale to like fit the page or whatever, print it full size on a piece of cardstock, and then it's big enough to like hole punch on right on the card. So I did that because it's kind of fun that way. And I'm also, since it's the beginning of the year, this particular one I am writing directly on the pattern because the chunks are fairly large. Last year with the Wander With Me with a little cat paws, the toe pads were very small, so I didn't figure I'd have room to write all the numbers. So that one I printed out like a calendar basically of the whole year and then wrote my temperatures on that. So this year I'm going back to this method where I just write directly on the pattern, and it kind of makes it easy to know what I need to do and where everything needs to go. So that's how I set up my temperature pattern. this year. And my current, let's see, this is the one I'm doing right now for travel stitching, I guess. I'll get to work on it again today when I go pick up my kids, because I usually sit in the car for about at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So that's hopefully where I'll get a lot of this stuff finished. These are free patterns from Brooks Books. You go to the free section and they're on this, like the second page, I think. There's a whole set of them for the Christmas Advent. And I'm putting these on my Whip Go board so that I can get them all finished this year. And this is the first one that got called, and this is where I got to, Kenny Kangaroo. It's on, all of these are on 18 count light blue Aida. And I'm not planning to stitch the borders because this is like scrap Aida from leftover from my temperature tree kits in my shop. And so the size of pieces that I could cut didn't allow for a border, and I don't really want to stitch the border. And I'm planning to finish these probably on a piece of cardstock, sewing them on and then like fraying the edges and putting them on a photo flip situation. I have it, I just need to finish these so I can put it on there. So that's exciting. I've got a decent amount of progress on this one this week, so hopefully I can get that finished or close to a finish this week. I don't remember when I showed this last, but I'm probably gonna pull out my Mill Hill buttons and beads this week for Mill Hill Monday for just a length of thread or something. I haven't worked on this in a few months, or not a few months, a few weeks, but I feel like we're getting back into the groove. I can probably work on this today. So here is my starting point on this one. Probably do more honeycomb outlining, which includes some beads that are back there. So the bee is just all done except for back stitching. So now I'm working on the background. Pretty cute. So hopefully I could get to that today. And my flea market flowers, didn't get a ton of work. I had a call with my sister, but it was shorter than usual because of everything was weird this week. So I'm working in this block for January. Just got a little bit of the light green leaves. Didn't even get to finish my string. I was so sad, but I needed to leave and go pick up my kids. So here is where this is. This is also 25 count vintage cloth in the color Barley. 1/1 full cross, just like my temperatures is 1/1 full cross on 25 count. Well, this is Barley, that was Prim. So this is a light beige. So I'm working in here, got one of these, I think it was this leaf done, and then started in on these leaves, and I have enough string, I think, to go ahead and finish this leaf, but I didn't have time. So my plan on this one is to finish one block per month to try to get it done this year. And if I have thread left on my needle when I'm done with whatever is in the block, I'll go to the next highest block that has that color and put it there so I don't waste time rethreading. I'll just continue stitching until my thread runs out in another section. So that's why some of those blocks look a little funny, because that's the method I had been using and I like that method. All right, I guess I should do my letter fairy, because this was also kind of extra stitching. If I have a few minutes in the afternoon, I like to work on this for a little bit, 30, 45 minutes, something like that. I had time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but not Sunday. So I worked on this 5 times, which was nice. One time, the first 3 days, I worked on the same length of thread beading because I had pulled like an enormous length of thread, probably a full 4 feet long length, and just DMC, so it's fine. It doesn't knot very easily. And I'm just doing half stitches with my beads, so I ended up doing like stopping before I finished my thread because I'm like, well, I've done a lot already, so I'm gonna stop and move on to something else now. So finishing that length of thread took 3 days, which is pretty funny. But I made good progress on this. So here it is now. This is on the called for water lily linen, 32 count, 2/2 full cross. And as you can see, I got a lot of beads in. So that's all one length of thread for my beads. I use 524 on this water lily linen, and it's like, you can't even see it. It matches the fabric really well. So I can carry, especially like in these, and it doesn't matter. You won't see it. And it is a lot easier to work with than like invisible thread. So that's my color of preference for these fairies. Yeah, so I started in on, I think I went, well, I don't remember which way I went, but I did this outer leaf in one day. The next day I did most of this leaf, but a lot of this like fairy dust up here. And the third day I finished the leaf down here and then did her headdress and this like wing antenna thing and then my thread ran out. And then the next day I did the Krynic back stitching right here, and then this stitching right here that has one length of blending filament in it for the beads or for the wings. That's not called for. I've been adding that for my fairies. I'll add one strand of blending filament to whatever color I've chosen for the wing. And then the last day I did one length of thread down here in the letter F. So I feel like that was good progress. This week is going to be kind of busy now that we're getting back into the groove of real life. So I may or may not have time for this in addition to whatever I'm supposed to work on, my main project for the day, on certain days. Like for example, Tuesday, tomorrow, I have Bible study in the evening, which will cut into when I might normally cross stitch. So if I want to get a significant chunk done on my main piece that day, I might want to do some of it in the afternoon and not do this one, if that makes any sense. So I do start in on it a little earlier, knowing that I have a chunk of time in my evening when I'm not going to be able to stitch. So things like that. But I'm hoping to get to that many, like for at least a few days this week, get a little bit more done, because like they're so small that just a little bit of time really makes a difference. So that's fun. Okay, so this week, this month, the first 25 days of the month, I'm doing Bringo with the Magazine Monthly Challenge group. It's unofficial. I'm not posting pictures, but I am using this challenge to kind of inform what I work on each day. So the pink lines is what's been called. So this one is called for today, and all these other ones are ones that have called, and I highlight them when I'm done. So I'm nowhere near bingo yet. I still have like at least 2 more, you know, before I get one, but that's okay. I randomly distributed the prompts throughout the board, so they're just wherever, and it's been fun. And the goal in the group, if you want to officially participate, is 100 stitches or 1 hour. I'm not counting that. I'm just doing it for whatever I can do in that day. And most of the time it's more than that. Last night, I barely had any time to stitch. And so I was working on a Crazy Wonderful Owl family, and it's in Pattern Keeper. So I made sure I get at least 100, because it feels good to get at least that much, to make it feel like I've made some progress. So I did that on that one, but usually I don't pay attention and usually get more than that criteria. So the first one I worked on was Flowers Within a Flower, which is my focus for a finish for the month of January. And this was called on Tuesday for something from a magazine, and then it was called again on Thursday for a magazine new start, which it was my magazine new start for Bringo last year. It's technically not a new start anymore, so this is one example of how I'm just doing what I want to do, because it's so I wouldn't get credit for this if I was officially participating, but that's the one I used. Yeah, so and I think you saw it after I had already worked on it once. So it's gotten 2 days since you've seen it. And I don't know if I need something behind it. So this is where it's at now. This is 32 count lamb's wool linen, I think. I'm doing 2/2 full cross and lots of fractional stitches. If you can see all the little bits and bobs in here. The pattern was a little hard to read because it was kind of small, and with all the fractional stitches and there's backstitching everywhere, they have 2 charts of backstitching, but it was still very tricky to see. So I ended up taking a picture with my iPad, blowing it up, or putting it into books, then blowing it up and highlighting it. So I have a digital working copy like I do my Mirabilias now. And that's been helping, being able to see where everything is. So this was done, this is 2 days worth of progress since you saw it last, and I have it on the board 4 more times with another 3 days after, at the end of the month, beyond my Bringo board, which would be to get me to the official 10 days that I would slot for that piece. So hopefully I can get it finished, but there's a lot of stitching in there. I'm hoping with like the greens and the browns that I've put in that have created a lot of structure, that from here on out, it'll be a little easier to kind of fill in. We'll see. It's been a lot slower going than I expected. So even though it's small, it's taking up a lot of time. So winter, even if I don't finish it this year, I'm getting it really close. I can finish it next year, but I would like to finish it this year. Winter Montage got picked for on Wednesday, and this one was for something in season because technically here it is winter. So I'm working on this up here. The last time I worked on this was when I started it last year, January, February time. Got 1,000 stitches on it then. And this year I have it slotted 4 times in the month of January because it's officially my seasonal Sunday piece, although I'm working on it whenever it gets called on the Bringo board. So here it is now. I got 285 stitches. This is 28 count Lugana 1/1 full cross. So it does take a little bit longer than a half stitch project might, but it's coming along. And I was mostly picking symbols from this top 10 by 10 square, but at one point I wanted to, I picked a berry color because I wanted to see where the berries were. And one of these dark colors was also down here along the bottom. So this kind of gives you a visual of how big this top box is going to be. This is the edge of it over here with the line of holly leaves. I was thinking of doing the boxes this way as I go across, so I can get a little bit of everything since the berries are here and the leaves are here. If I do just along the top, I'll never get to the berries for a really long time. So if I pick my symbols 10 by 10 square, 10 by 10 square, down like this, and then move my way across, then I'll get a little bit of everything as I go. So that's kind of my plan on that. That's on the board 2 more times. And then I have it slotted for the last Sunday of January as well to be an official seasonal Sunday piece. That was fun to work on. And then I worked on Flower Within a Flower again. Oh, and then I worked on His Name is Jesus because I talked with Desiree, the Addicted Stitcher. So I got a little bit done on that. This is by Joyful Expressions. We're nearing the end. We're into the 80-something% now, which is fun. Here is mine. This is on 28 count ivory Lugana, 1/1 full cross. And this time I finished the word God here and Son of God, and then I went over and did Christ. So that's what I worked on this time. Looking pretty nice. I like to do a phrase at a time. I picked 3 Victorian mottos from my stash to do the colors. It's charted for 3 different colors, so I just assigned each color to specific, to replace their 3, and so then I'll put them where they recommend they go. So Friday it called Bear Time Stories, which was fun. This is one of my family pieces that I'll try to work on once a month. This is by Randall Spangler, Heaven and Earth Designs. Little teddy bear reading a book to some dragons, eating a cookie. And this one, I decided to pick the color with the most stitches and color complete it, Extreme Cross Country. And then from there, I think I'll pick the least and work up completing smallest colors after that. So I've already got a decent structure, but doing the color with the most will give me even more structure and to be able to put in those ninja stitches that are just here and there. So it was like 8:15 or 8:14. It was a really dark burgundy. And this is where I got to. I got 709 stitches on Friday. I was really excited about that. So this is 40 count vertical 1/1 half stitches. So because they're half stitches, and these two bits were harder to, needed more counting, but these were a lot of fill in with just, 2 space, 3 space, 6 space. Like you did have to count, but it was just basically back and forth. So I was able to get quite a few stitches. Super fun. There's more of this color in this background here. I just, I'll get to it when I get to it. So this was fun. And somebody had an idea for the end of February, since February is full coverage February. And I'm gonna be doing a similar bingo situation for working on all of my pieces that have, that I did not already choose to be a focus piece this year. But there's 25 days on the board and 3 extra days in February. So somebody suggested I work on one of my family pieces in those last 3 days to try to get it, pushed along. And this is full coverage. This is really fun. So I might work on this for those last 3 days in February to kind of push it along even more. And then continue to pull it out once a month after that. So that's kind of my thought on that one. Then my other piece for my son, same son, got pulled the next day. Dragon Ride by Theresa Wentzler. This is another one I'll pull out once a month, except for February and August. And I got a decent amount done on this. I worked mainly in here at the top of this wing and finished, I think 4 colors, 3. I say 3, but I think it was 4. Finished 4 colors throughout the whole thing. So mostly they were here, but there was a little bit right here and along here in a couple of the colors. 2 of the colors were only up here. So it feels good to finish some more colors. And here's this one. This is 28 count light blue even weave by MCG Textiles, mostly 2/2. The man is 1/1. And there's the wing that I was able to fill in, which is cool. And there was a couple stitches in this leg and then along the back of the tail, but those are a little harder to see. Mainly the main progress was up here. So, and a little bit right here, I think too. But yeah, that's pretty fun. See that coming together. And look forward to getting that out every month. Do a little bit more on it. And then Sunday, it was called to do my Crazy Wonderful Owl family, which is my full coverage no background that I've chosen for January. I have this on the board 5 times total, so it'll come up. It's actually called again for today, and then 3 more times after that. So 5 total. This is by Heaven and Earth Designs. Anya Kai is the artist. And I'm working at the top of Papa Owl's head. And I'm thinking I was curious if I should start and do it horizontally because this fabric is really long and floppy. So like I'm doing the Grand Library Romance starting from this end and kind of working this way. I considered it, but with the way this is up and down here, I'm not doing the background. I figured it's probably easier just to stay where I am. And so I'm going to complete blocks at a time, left to right, choosing my symbols within the 10 by 10 square and then moving left to right. So the top column of the design is only his head. So that'll be mainly what you see worked on here in the month of January. If I move down to the next row, I don't know that I'll get that much stitched, but her head is technically in the next row. So maybe at some point. I don't know that I'll get there in January, but it'd be cool. And then if I work across the top down, then I'll get little bits of everybody's head, you know, eventually as I'm working down. I think that'll be fun because they're all different color schemes and that'll keep it interesting. So I decided to stay doing it more horizontally than vertically as far as doing rows instead of columns. So this is on Picture This Plus Glacier. Yeah, 28 count, 1/1, full cross. And here's where I got to. Only 114 stitches, so not a lot of progress, but hopefully you can see. I filled in this purple. There were like 2 colors in there that gave 1 stitch there, 1 stitch there as well. And then I did some light blue. You might be able to see some in this area as well, but overall, not a whole lot. This is coming out again today, so hopefully I'll get a little bit more time on it today. You can see a little bit more progress on that. And yeah, then it'll be there called through. It's on the board 3 more times after that, for a total of 5. And so there's a lot of things. Let's see. My other 2 family pieces, Simpsons and Visit Endor, are yet to be called. And then I still have 4 more days on Grand Library Romance, which is my full coverage for January. And 3 more days on Flowers Within a Flower, which is my focus piece for January. And my new start, Fancy Lady, Once Upon a Time, I think is what it's called. Oh, and Winter Montage is on here for 2 more times. So there's still lots of fun coming up. So I don't know exactly what I'll be working on this week, except for Crazy Wonderful Owl Family will be 1 more time today. And so you get to be surprised just like I am. So this has been fun. I'm enjoying it. And I think that's everything. So with that, I will, smoky stuff here. We'll say goodbye, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And take care. Happy stitching. Bye.